downstream. Oh, it's a big fish. Look at this hair. I think hairdressers should be a essential service during this pandemic. Hey everybody, it's April 7, 2020, and by now all of us have been impacted by the COVID-19 virus outbreak to some extent. I personally have been affected by it quite a bit. Back in spring break, we were planning to go to Taiwan, where I was from originally. This would have been my first trip back to the country in 30 years, so I was quite disappointed that we had to cancel it. We actually canceled that trip several months ago when the outbreak started in the region. Ironically, the virus is actually pretty contained within Taiwan by mid-March, but we had to cancel it regardless because it was actually just starting out here in Canada, and it was recommended that nobody should leave the country, and that's exactly what we did. So that was the first thing. The second thing was Chilliwack's All About Fishing, the annual fishing event that I had planned for March 14th, was canceled 2 days before the event. Things were escalating quite a bit if you follow the news, and by the 2 days before the event, we were pretty concerned that such a large gathering was not a very good idea at the onset of the virus outbreak. And right after we canceled that event, the provincial government actually came in, putting the regulation that no gatherings over 50 people would be allowed. So that was obviously the right choice. Disappointing, but hopefully we'll be back again next year. And the third thing is the economic impact on just about everyone by the virus outbreak. Within the sport fishing industry, because it is quite seasonal, most of the action happens during springtime, summertime, and early fall. We're gonna lose a fair amount of money. You look at fishing guides, fishing lodges, they wouldn't be guiding, they wouldn't be taking people out fishing in the next few months. Tackle stores sales will be way down, and my personal business is also pretty affected. We have canceled most of our filming trips in the near future, which is quite disappointing. And but we'll see what's going to happen in the near future. In the meantime, that doesn't mean there won't be any videos coming out. I'm still pretty backed up on how many videos I'm going to put out. So rest assured, there will still be videos coming out. For this particular video, it's more of a review of what has happened in the last few months. So without talking about the virus anymore, let's get on with it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the winter steelhead fishery. I personally went out a few times for steelhead. Generally, in the last few years, well, actually, I shouldn't say last few years, in the last 10-15 years, I've started fishing less and less for steelhead in the wintertime. Mostly because I simply don't like the cold. I don't like to fish in the cold and in the rain. I have no problem admitting that I'm a pretty fair weather fisherman. The very first day Nina and I went out was February 27th, which is pretty late considering the season actually starts around early December. We had dropped our kids off at daycare, at school, and we had a couple hours to spare, so we went down to the river and decided just to fish a little bit and see what happened. And we knew that the fishing had been pretty good, so I was quite optimistic. I was quite confident that we might get into a fish or two. So we started fishing this one run where no one was fishing. And let's roll the video and show you guys what happened. Way downstream.
I went the wrong way then, hey?
You could go down there.
I guess you're in the derby then. Yeah. Bring it in. You need a net?
that particular fish was the biggest hatchery steelhead I've had ever caught, ever killed. Over the years, I've actually only killed about 5 or 6 hatchery steelhead. Not by choice, but most of the fish I've caught over the years have been wild steelhead, so they had to be released. I was pretty excited by that fish. That fish, because we had entered the Wally Ho Junior Memorial Fishing Derby, I brought it in. It weighed just over 14 pounds, and I think it placed 5th overall in the end. So I was pretty excited about that. What I didn't tell anyone, besides in this video right now, is that we fished that run, and prior to hooking that fish, we actually got into 3 other fish within a 5-minute span. So I had cast a shrimp out, let it drift down, the float went down, set the hook, and the fish actually did a couple head shakes and came up within 2 seconds. And I turned around, look at Nina, it's like, what just happened, right? So rigged up another shrimp, cast it out again, drift down to the same spot, the float got buried again, set the hook. This time the hook was hooked pretty firmly, and it was on for a few more seconds, 5 seconds, then it popped out again. So like, what, I just 2 fish in a row. So I told Nina to come down, and she had a pink one on. She had the, I guess the Delta steely one, 6-inch steely one on. Cast it out, let it drift down. This time the float actually didn't make it all the way down to where I had the bites. It actually, before, I guess about 20 feet before that, the float went down again, and she set the hook, another fish was on, and once again, the fish was on for about 3 seconds, then it came off. And then it kind of just stopped for about 10-15 minutes. We didn't get any more bites. This is quite typical when fishing with steelhead. Quite often you'll encounter a pot of fish. If you hooked one, most like chances are you'll get into another one. The following day, the weather was not as great. It actually started raining. It was pretty windy. I decided to go up by myself again that afternoon and fish until the evening time. So I went down to the same spot. Didn't hook anything in that particular run. That's not very surprising. Obviously, those fish have moved on. Went a little further down to another run. As soon as I got down there, first casting to the run, look what happened. Steelhead are pretty aggressive. Usually if you put something in front of them for the first time, they will bite it. So that fish actually came off the line right in front of me. It wasn't a very big fish, maybe 5 or 6 pounds, but it was pretty feisty. It actually jumped several times, as you can see in the video. So a week later, I had been chatting with Brandon, who runs the Fishing Doctors Adventures YouTube channel. So he had never caught a steelhead before, and he wanted to try it out. So he came out to the river one day, and I told him that I could come down for a little bit. I had a bit of time. So he came a little before me, went down to the river, started fishing. And I had planned to meet him down there. So I was driving down there, go to the parking lot. He messaged me saying that 6 casts, and he got one right away. He was pretty excited. Since Brandon got his fish, you only allowed to keep 1 fish and you have to start fishing. So he packed his rods up, and we decided to go out to the same run again where he caught that fish, and I would go up and try. So we fished the tail out of that run for a little bit. I missed one bite, missed another bite. It's quite amazing that these fish are, pretty big, and the float goes down pretty hard, and you can actually miss them pretty easily. The tail out missed 3 bites, and I look a little further up, and it actually looked pretty fishy. So we went upstream a little bit. I did one cast out in the fast water, let it drift down through just as it went down, just approaching the overhanging log. The float shot straight down, and it got pulled down so hard. Actually, my rod got yanked as well, and it was definitely a fish. And both of us were pretty shocked, and we actually screamed. So I set the hook, missed it. Okay, put the shrimp back home, cast it out again. Again, it went down to the same spot. Set the hook, I was prepared, missed it again. So I thought, geez, put another shrimp on again, cast it out, hoping that it would go down again. Sure enough, it went down, and look.
Look at this. Rod is hooked up, 3 bites in a row. Missed 2, and then third one hooked up. This is awesome. I don't even have my GoPro today, just on my cell phone. Out with the fishing with the rod. This is a beautiful fish. Look at that. That's a way bigger one than mine. That's big. It makes mine look puny. Wild? Let's just release him here.
Yeah, we'll grab the net.
Oh, the net? Yeah. Okay. Oh, he's a big one. Oh yeah, look at that. That's a nice fish.
Nice.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh yeah, that's a big fish. It bit twice.
Yeah.
And then next cast, you just rebaited 3 in a row. 3 casts in a row.
So that pretty much wraps up my winter steelhead fishing season. I only invested about 20 hours in total fishing for them, and I was pretty happy with getting to, I guess, six fish, landing 2 fish in total, and there's nothing wrong with that. I definitely can't complain about that. I do have a couple other steelhead videos coming out, not necessarily fishing videos, but they're more conservation related. And they're going to be coming out within the next couple of weeks. I hope everyone can check it out and get inspired and get involved. Now, onto the ice fishing season. If you've been following the videos, you've noticed that we've dedicated quite a bit of our time this winter on ice fishing. We wanted to promote ice fishing quite a bit. It is an underutilized fishery, so we work with tourism kamloops and Freshwater Fisheries Society BC, trying to get more people out in the wintertime to do some ice fishing. It's very family friendly, it's easy to do, you don't need a boat, it's not very expensive, and it is fun and challenging, mind you. On a personal note, I really want to learn how to ice fish better, I guess. Over the years, we haven't really done that much ice fishing in general. I mean, we've done maybe 1 or 2 trips every season, but that doesn't really count. To be really good at it, you really have to go out, dedicate quite a bit of time on it and go out consistently trying to produce results. So this year, I think in total I've done about 10 outings in the Merritt Kamloops area. So if you've been following the episodes back a couple months ago, in late January, I did an episode with Campbell from Sun Peaks, and we were fishing for kokanee, which is quite different to trout, because for trout fishing under the ice, you're fishing in pretty shallow water, you can sight fish for them, whereas for kokanee, most of the fish are further down in 20, 30, 40 feet of water, so you need a sounder, you need a fish finder, you have to spot the fish on the screen and kind of adjust your depth and follow the fish around. I personally didn't do very well during that trip, sadly, but Campbell actually got into a lot of fish and showed me how it's done. So I'm looking forward to go back again and try out kokanee ice fishing. During that particular visit to Kamloops, I actually stopped by the lake where I fished with Kitty and Dan back in December, where we spotted those big rainbow trout and brook trout. and I wanted to go back by myself and see if I could get into some of those bigger fish by myself. So the following day after the kokanee fishing, I went out by myself. It was quite windy. I set everything up, set the tent up, and I wasn't gonna move because it's pretty windy. So once I pegged the tents down, I was sure I was gonna stay there and just waited it out for the fish to come by. Within the first half an hour, one pretty big brook trout came straight onto the ice hole. That was a big fish. That was a huge brook trout. I haven't had anything on the sounder for a long time, and I was getting kind of annoyed. Oh jeez. And then I put the rod down, adjusted the depth, looked down the hole, and a huge brook trout came in and grabbed the bait right away. And I set the hook, then there's nothing, and of course the line snapped. That was actually the only fish I saw and the only bite I had all day. Kitty and I actually did one more trip on the ice, and for that particular trip, exact same thing happened. We saw a couple fish, but they weren't very big, a couple of brook trout, but we never actually got any bites that day. So we got skunked again, fishing from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 7, 8 in the evening time. If you guys have any suggestions on ice fishing, we definitely welcome any tips. So next winter we'll go back and try it out again, and hopefully we can actually produce some good ice fishing videos for you guys. Besides the ice fishing and winter sewer fishing trips, we did a couple of ocean trips as well in the last few months. Recently we put out an episode on fishing for salmon and prawning with Bon-Jovi Fishing Charters, which is based out of Granville Island, but Jason now lives in Sydney on Vancouver Island, so he also offers charters from that region as well. And that's exactly what we did. We met up in Sydney and we went out, did some salmon fishing around the Gulf Islands, and go watch the episode, you won't be disappointed. We actually did another trip earlier back in actually the Valentine's Day weekend. We did another ocean trip out of West Vancouver, fishing around Howe Sound, again prawning, crabbing with Watermark Fishing Charters. That particular episode is going to come out the end of this month, and we can't wait to show that to you guys. The other thing I did back in February was again going out with Brandon from the Fishing Doctor's Adventures. Brandon actually has a lake behind his backyard, which is private, and it's got rainbow trout in it. So this one afternoon, it was pretty sunny, pretty cold, but pretty sunny. I decided to go to his place, and we took his canoe out and we did some of that rainbow trout fishing. It's hard to believe it's mid-February because it's pretty mild today. A couple weeks ago we were still having some snow, and now it's like, today it's probably around 10 degrees Celsius, and we're sitting in the canoe, and this is Brandon from the Fishing Doctor's Adventures. So he has a YouTube channel, you should go check it out. And we're fishing at his private fishing pond. So right behind his house, got this little lake here, which actually has trout in it, and it's, I guess it's probably managed by the houses surrounding the lake. And so I've been invited out to do some fishing today. So
There you go. There you go. I told you that was going to be stuff.
Funny. Yeah, they are, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Oh, I got one.
Go on.
Yeah. Yeah, then you got one.
Oh, I got one.
Double hook up. Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, look at that.
Whoa, that's a big one. That's a fat one.
That's a net full,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
Okay, you can land yours.
I go that way.
I'll get you on there. Now run. Let's get in his. Now yours is fighting.
Yeah. Beauty.
There you go. Let her go. at that. Like, look how nice that one is.
Yeah.
That's a beauty.
So that was pretty fun. Stillwater fishing in February, watching the indicator going down a few times, catching some really nice rainbow trout. So thank you, Brandon, for inviting me over. If you want to see more of that trip, be sure to go to his YouTube channel. He's got a video on it, so go check it out. Now, finally, because we're all going to be staying home in the next few months, and we definitely have to be doing that if we're going to beat this virus, we're going to be putting out a lot of videos for you guys to watch. Now, starting on Thursday, I'll be putting out a cutthroat trout feature, which I've been working on in the last few weeks, and it's pretty good, I promise. You definitely don't want to miss that one. Right after the launch of that video, roughly around 8:30 in the evening time, both Kitty and I are going to be doing an Instagram live stream. You'll get to chat with us, ask us questions, and we'll be providing some updates on what we're working on right now. And thank you. Thank you for supporting this channel over the years. I can't say that enough. We really appreciate the support. And I hope everyone's healthy, stay safe, and until next time, good luck fishing.